They think that I just come in there and look for knockoffs, and that's not the case. I'm actually a sharp, smart fighter.
So, what happened? I'm here. Who want to fight with me?
I really don't care who's in front of me. I don't feel like no fighter can beat me.
Demolish everybody, to be honest. Everybody that's in my way. The pinnacle to any weight division is to have all the belts, all of the titles. Body work,
Welcome to Body Work. Welcome back. It's Michael Rogers. Welcome to Body Work Boxing. It feels so good to be back. I'll come to y'all just wanting to have a little boxing talk, man. I got an extra helping of them fruits and veggies. Not that Reggie, man. And I, like I said, man, it's just like eating your vegetables. You didn't want to do it. Mom Duke says, sit your tail down at that table. Don't get up till you finish. And it has some stuff on the plate that you just didn't like. That's what this is, man. I've been sitting back evaluating, the landscape of boxing and looking at the state of boxing, even considering all the fights that we got just last night. And I think boxing is in a good place. I think that the perspectives on boxing is always going to change because the loudest voices in the room normally, play follow the leader and everybody get online because we have been reduced to not using our critical thinking skills. It's like now you could think you're going somewhere to hear something fresh, hear a fresh new take, and all you're going to see and hear are the same people who do round robin styles going from platform to platform, spewing the same thing, gaslighting and everything. So I always say, man, with no further ado, I got to get back to the curriculum. I got to talk about the things that keep me relevant. Cookie Monster, salute. Body Work, salute Cookie Monster. But I said I got to get back to doing, the things that I do and keep putting stakes in the ground. Keep putting out that truth because no matter what. Thanks for that sound check, Cookie Monster. I appreciate you. Need good people like that supporting you. But I'm here to put stakes in the ground, and like me, I consider myself a diehard boxing fan, a hardcore. I've been paying attention, and sometimes I allow myself to just be a fan, like to just sit back and don't do nothing. Like I ain't talking about nothing, I ain't doing nothing. I'm just listening and learning and watching and looking at the trends and because it takes time as the culture of boxing changed. Because the culture of boxing, remember, social media it's not new, but its popularity and its influence has just now really started being a major factor in the sport. The fact that Mike Tyson is getting ready to get it on with who tell you everything you need to know. That was all bred from YouTube. So social media and in turn he's able to pay, get the highest paid women boxer. He and he has the name in the whole world listening. That's what when people are not really hardcore, you could just stop, or they'll just, whenever boxing comes on, you just got to sit back and listen. When you out and about, listen to what comes up. And whether it was off or on again, people were talking about that fight the whole time. The social media and the influence has changed. So the way people approach boxing conversation has been geared more towards what people are saying online. And I'm like, man, like, can we get a break sometimes, man? Because sometimes, you know, you want to you really just want to go in there, man, and chop it up about the X's and O's, like the matchups. That don't ever happen. Then it could be all these hindsight is 2020 Monday morning quarterbacks coming by talking, I told you, but nobody has the time and the patience to go back and actually like be like, no, you didn't. So in turn, what we get is a sausage party. A bunch of sword fighting, man. It's like, golly, man. Like, you can't, like, if your fighter, because this is a new term, if your fighter can walk on water, if you believe that, you know what I'm saying, don't say anything about somebody else being a fan, man. Like, that's a violation, man. Especially if your favorite fighter hasn't even shown that they're a complete boxer. Like the things that you say that you like or that you know admire about the skill set, but nobody ever gets into the skill set. It's a popularity contest, and it's really just a bunch of gaslighting. And I always say that's the part of the curriculum that I was on, man. I got to put it out there because, you know, as things slow down and people start using more and more common sense, right? What's going to happen is you're going to hear a whole lot of people talking about things. You're going to hear a whole lot of Johnny come latelys coming by, with microwave research. They do a little 15, 20-minute rundown of what's going on and hope nobody challenge them on what they're going to say. And if it's an agenda, even the co-host ain't even going to check them. Why? Because the host don't even know. The host don't even know. They be jacking so hard for a fighter that the host don't even know when the dude and who the dude lost his title to, when he got his belt, how he got his belt, the resume of the guy who he got his belt from, what the climate of boxing was at that point in time. Why? Because they so busy chasing the glory or the attention of all these other people. But there's other people that actually are watching it and looking at it and understanding, okay, at this point in time, he fought this guy. Well, who was that guy? You don't know. In the process, you'll hear a lot of things. And if you just want to be part of a pack and you just going to be a sheep and you just going to just regurgitate, memorization and regurgitation, rote memory learning, which you've been trained to do, and you're going to respond accordingly, or just echo those same sentiments wherever somebody will let you get up and speak your mind. It's the same thing. I'm talking about like months, hours, weeks, a year in some cases. And people are just saying the same things over and over and over again. What do we hear? We hear a bunch of gaslighting. This is what we hear. You can pull this up. August 16th. This is recent. I didn't say that. 9 classic gaslighting phrases to watch out for. And if you don't think this applies to the sport of boxing, then okay, cool. But I'm going to do my little part the way I always do. Because I always got to have you walk away with something. So I'm going to do this part. Then I'm going to get into some scenarios about the sport and how the conversation is changing and how you can really tell that people don't really care to talk about boxing. They just want to have a sausage party. That's all they want to do. I'm going to prove it to you. I didn't say that. 9 classic gaslighting phrases to watch out for. Lachlan Brown. The image there. There's a fine line between misunderstanding and manipulation, and it often blurs when it comes to gaslighting. Gaslighting is a psychological tactic that makes you question your reality, often masked behind seemingly innocent phrases. Go figure. A common phrase is, I didn't say that. It might seem innocuous at first glance, but it can leave you questioning your memory and sanity. In this article, we'll uncover 9 classic gaslighting phrases to be aware of. These phrases can quietly manipulate your sense of reality. So stay sharp, my friends. Eureka, number 1, you're too sensitive. We've all been there. In the middle of a heated discussion, the other party throws out the phrase, "You're too sensitive." This can feel like a dismissive blow, minimizing your feelings and concerns. Gaslighters often use this phrase to delegitimize your emotional response. If they can convince you that you're overreacting, they can divert the focus away from their own behavior. Your feelings and experiences are valid. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. The phrase, "You're too sensitive," is a classic gaslighting tactic. This ain't nothing new. Often used to make you question your reactions and emotions. It's important to recognize this phrase for what it is, a manipulation technique. By recognizing it, you can take a step back, reassess the situation without questioning your own sanity. Number 2, I was joking. Man, are they preaching? Is it Sunday? This ain't me. It's my man Lachlan Brown breaking it down. I was just joking. I remember a specific instance where I was on a receiving end of this classic gaslight phrase. I'd expressed my concern about a friend's disrespectful comment only to be met with, "I was just joking." This phrase is a deflection tool, often used to gloss over a cruel or inappropriate comment and make it seem as if you're reacting for being upset. You're overreacting for being upset. In my case, my friend's joke was hurtful, but instead of acknowledging my feelings, they tried to make it seem like I couldn't take a joke. This left me questioning my perception and feeling guilty for being upset. "I was just joking" is a subtle form of gaslighting designed to make you question your reaction while dismissing your feelings. We only at number 2. This is number 3. You're imagining things. Believe it or not, the phrase "you're imagining things" is a common gaslighting technique. So we heard classic. This is common. Wow. It's designed to make you question your reality and doubt your perception. When someone tells you that you're imagining things, man, you living in a fantasy world. They're trying to convince you that your interpretation of events is not accurate. This can create a sense of confusion and self-doubt, making it harder for you to trust your own judgments. This phrase is particularly damaging because it can lead to what psychologists call learned helplessness, a state where a person begins to believe they have no control over their situation and thus stops trying to change it. There's a couple of boxes in that right now. Like, well, man, I can't do nothing. I could just do this. I'm just helpless. I'm just, they'll put that out on you when they need to, just to appeal to you, the fan, and you just buy right into it. That never happened. Number 4. This phrase is a blatant attempt to rewrite history. That's what all we be talking about when I be referring to the revisionist historians. This phrase is a blatant attempt to rewrite history. You know how I'll be talking about those revisionist historians? This phrase is a blatant, let me stop messing with you. That's what they are, man. That never happened. It's a direct assault on your memory and your perception of reality. When someone tells you that never happened, they're not just denying the event. They're denying your experience of it. This can leave you feeling disoriented and uncertain, questioning your own memory. This tactic is especially harmful because it can lead to self-doubt and confusion. You may start to question your ability to remember things correctly, which can have a serious impact on your self-esteem and confidence. We talking about boxing talk now. I mean, we're not gonna set no guidelines. We ain't gonna put no barriers out, or we ain't gonna educate. We're just gonna regurgitate. Then we got to get some law and order. Recognizing this phrase for what it is, an attempt to manipulate. Again, manipulation. To manipulate your perception of reality is crucial in maintaining your trust in your own memories and experiences. So they'll manipulate some stuff you've seen. We're gonna get into it. I'm gonna show you some facts, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna put a bunch of different boxes out. Put a bunch of different boxes out, some of the hottest names in the game, and we're gonna look at some things, and then we're gonna start saying, okay, cool. So if I do it with multiple boxers, If I do it with multiple boxes, it's going to show you that this is going on a daily, man. Number 5, you're overreacting. Ever been told you're overreacting when you express concern or dissatisfaction? That's what they're saying. This is another common gaslighting phrase used to invalidate your feelings and make you question your reactions. Man, you always overreacting. Right. But when they overreact and they come back with the I'm just joking, you see how the gaslighting work? Man, I was just joking. Oh man, you still holding on to that? It's like, no, man, because people have different personalities, like, you know, different conversations. Like, their stance differs depending on the boxer that they're talking about. They don't put them all on the scale and examine them the same way. That's why I think this is important. When someone tells you that you're overreacting, they're essentially saying that your emotions are not justified. Like we're not like football fans where they, you know, somebody score a touchdown or get Randy Moss or somebody get cracked or hit stick, man, we going crazy. But not in boxing talk. So you can't allow, like, especially if you look at it, if you look in the mirror and you look anything like me, then you know that we get passionate about stuff. We have emotions. We you know, like, yeah, it's like that. We don't just remove them, but we can still be objective while having them. Let me read this again. When someone tells you that you're overreacting, they're essentially saying that your emotions are not justified. This can be incredibly damaging, as it can make you start doubting your emotional responses and undermine your trust in your own judgment. That's when you start questioning your own judgment. Like, hold on, am I looking at this? Now, sometimes I'll do that, but I'll be just being sarcastic, you know, or buying some time to make you think. Number 6, are they preaching or what? You're crazy. Somebody probably looking at this right now. Oh, man, body work, man, that dude crazy. It's heartbreaking to hear this phrase, especially from someone you trust and care about. So when your favorite content creator be like, you crazy, it's gonna hurt your feelings, you know what I'm saying? But it's gonna happen. You just gotta stick around because they flip-flop. Being told you're crazy is not only hurtful, but it's a blatant attempt to undermine your sanity. Yeah. When someone resorts to calling you crazy, they're trying to delegitimize your feelings and experiences. It's a cruel way of saying that your reactions are irrational and shouldn't be taken seriously. This phrase can leave you feeling isolated and misunderstood. But remember, no one has the right to label your emotions or experiences as crazy. So this is another key point here. If you're getting off into where you're thinking about it and you breaking down what people are saying, especially anybody that you see over an extended period of time, you know, if you're getting caught up in that, something ain't right. Why? Because they're not talking about boxing. You getting caught in the, you know what I'm saying? You know the fake left sweep right. You always get pumped fake to the fake. Because it'll be a title. It'll be somebody naming the title. It'll be a whole subject about somebody, and the whole show ain't that. That's just to bring them in. To bring them out, bring them out. So if you find yourself having conversations and you're getting hit with all kind of stuff like that, oh, you crazy. I never said that. That didn't happen. You're overreacting. Like, that's all you getting? Like, y'all not talking about boxing. Why? Because if you talking about somebody getting hit or who outlanded whatever, you can pull up stats, but then people don't want to do that. You can have it up on the screen. You can have just watched the fight. I don't know why, but this gaslights, this stuff happened just now, like where physical, like where nobody didn't have to say anything. Nobody didn't have to say anything. I'm gonna give you 2 examples where this happened before I get to number 7. I'm gonna give you 2 examples right now where this happened. When Devin Haney fought Ryan Garcia, you know what they kept saying? Outside of now that we know Osterling was involved, let's just look at the boxing match. I'm not talking about who won or whether we should acknowledge cheaters and all that. Let's just look at the physical matchup. Let's put that in the vacuum. Let's look at what happened inside that ring. Everybody keeps saying that Devin Haney could not do anything to the left hook. Well, about the left hook. So that means that you can see on the right side of his face what happened, right? Well, what happened to the left side if the left side is looking distorted? They said he couldn't do anything about the left hook, but they don't say nothing about the straight right hand. And I can bring up a picture where it shows you the face of boxer. I could do it right now. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's another. And so then let's fast forward to the Bud fight. Bud versus Madrimov. What are people saying? Man, if you thinking just landing a couple straight rights, just if you think that did anything, but when you look at Bud, so if it was some straight rights, that means the left side of the Bud face would have had the damage. But clearly up on his eye, it was a big knot. It was a mouse up under that guy. And the only way that could be on the right side was if something crazy happened in the ring, or Madrimov had to land some lefts. But if you point that out about those two guys you're hating, and they've done more than you can ever do because you just sit on the couch and all you do is just like, no, that means you don't really want to talk about boxing. You want to have a sausage party. That's what you really want to do. You just can't accept that. Why? Because you think that if somebody's saying your favorite fighter got hit, that he ain't. You fill in the blank. That's not what people are saying. But we don't talk about boxing. We talk about politics, and we really going off of fandemonium now. Like, because now certain rules don't apply to certain boxers. Let me go down. Let me keep going. I don't remember that. Let's see what they say it is. A few years ago, I found myself in a situation where a close friend would often use the phrase, "I don't remember that." Whenever I brought up something they had done that had upset me, they would conveniently fail to recall the incident. This is a subtle form of gaslighting. So this is a subtle one. I don't remember. I learned look, my mom broke me out of that form of gaslighting early in life. Because I only had a couple of I don't remember, and then all of a sudden I would suddenly recall. This is a subtle form of gaslighting designed to make you question your memory. It can be particularly frustrating because it denies you the chance to address the issue at hand. Yeah, if they can, I don't remember that. I don't know about all that. How many times? That's how they real creative in how they say, "Oh man, I can't. I don't even know. I don't remember it going down like that. And then they move on, so you never get a chance to really lock them in on it. But we're gonna go over some of these things. We're gonna go over some of these things tonight. I'm gonna make it very transparent and clear that people just be talking boxing around all these boxing, talking all these boxing topics, and they really don't be breaking it down the way they need to. It's just a sausage party. It's just politicking. It's getting up. It's building pandemonium, which in a way is, under the 48 laws of power, yeah, all publicity is good publicity, but it don't really do nothing. It don't move the needle. It don't progress. It don't help fans, which is my interest. I hope the boxers get taken care of and get their bread, but I also want us as fans to win too. So my best interest is for the fans to win. That's why I say, look, I got to get out of the politics, man. I can't just because I'm affiliated with certain people, I like certain people, I get attached and I got to be down with what they saying. Because one day they'll come on and say some real crazy shit. Real crazy. And then they'll come back the next day and then be all like, I don't get down like that. Like, I don't even like being around people like that. They'll hit you with, "I don't remember that." It's a gaslighting phrase with the potential to erode your confidence in your memory. That's all it do. It be trying to get you to doubt your memory. In my case, it made me start doubting my recall of events and pretended meaningful conversations about things that mattered to me. So key points and stuff like that, they hit you with that, "I don't remember that." And then if it's, if you got a lot of time, like if you only got a certain period of time, shit, you got to pay like you weigh. If you spend too long, it's not that serious. It's like, no, you all do not like facts. You like to talk and see and persuade with opinion, and that's cool. It's a place for it. But when the headhunters come out, the fact finders, you know what I'm saying, the mathematicians who be dropping mathematics, who live and base their whole life around science, start putting you up on the scale and up on the, you know, putting that rule up to you and seeing how much you weigh. It don't be adding up. You're making things up. You're making things up. When someone accuses you of making things up, it can be confusing and hurtful. This gaslighting phrase seeks to discredit your account of events, making you question your memory and honesty. So now they're touching on your honesty, like whether or not you are like an honest individual. Why would we be online just lying? Like, why, if you just online regurgitating? And I see it because people get up there and they don't even realize. And I think, you know what they do? They just disappear, or they create a new name, and then they start talking and chatting under a different name, because once they realize, like, dang, that didn't really happen, but I've been regurgitating it all this time, they realize they're lying. This tactic is particularly effective because it puts you on the defensive. So if you talking about, you know, debating, like, which is just like boxing, offense and defense, you know what I'm saying? Like, this puts you on the defensive. Instead of addressing the issue, you're left trying to prove your honesty. Now you got to say, man, listen, man, then you got to give your whole background about how you used to be a Boy Scout in high school and how, you know, you helped out, you know, at the PTA, and, you know, you got the Employee of the Year award. Like, you just, so then people start saying, man, like, you don't get caught up in that, man. Don't get caught up in that. When you find yourself doing that, you're not talking about boxing. This deflection can create a smokescreen obscuring the manipulator's behavior. It's a smokescreen, man. It's a feint. And then you got to prove your honesty. They feinting you with this. You got to prove your honesty, and then boom, they come in with a big whammy that, you know what I'm saying, you don't even have time to really address. Recognizing this phrase for what it is, a gaslighting tactic aimed at distorting your reality, can help you to stay grounded in your truth and maintain trust in your perceptions. Number 9, it's all in your head. This is perhaps one of the most disorienting gaslighting phrases. This is why everybody got to go somewhere else to seek validation for what they know to be a truth. It's all in your head is what they tell you. It's a blatant attempt to make you question your sanity and perception of reality. When someone uses this phrase, they're trying to convince you that your experiences are not real, that they're just figments of your imagination. This can lead to intense self-doubt and confusion. Your experiences, feelings, and perceptions are valid. They're not just in your head. Especially if you're doing what you need to do. Like, you can't just go by listening to what everybody say. You gotta go look at articles. Go look up your fighter's resume. Go look up the guys he fought. Go back, look at some film. People ain't even doing that. They ain't even doing that. They just been rehearsing shit that they done heard all over the years, and they mash it together in some kind of like crazy ass potluck of ideas, and they just spew them out at random times on different platforms. That's all they do. Final thoughts: trust yourself. Navigating the complexities of human relationships can be challenging. It becomes even more so when manipulation tactics like gaslighting come into play. The key is to recognizing and combating gaslighting lies in trusting your own perceptions, feelings, and experiences. Remember, they are all valid and real. Famous psychoanalyst Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." In essence, trusting your inner voice can be a guiding beacon in the face of manipulation. So don't tell me, man, I don't be out here arming you with no tools, man. Don't tell me I don't be out here putting no stakes in the ground, man. Don't tell me I don't be challenging your critical thinking skills, man. I'm not here to manipulate you. I'm just here to speak the facts. And I just say facts every 5 minutes, and I clearly don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, I got that part out the way. Let's see. Johnny Allison, hey, body work, keep putting it in. Salute. No Diddy. Johnny Allison, welcome back. Salute. Go Key. Salute, body work. Cookie Monster, Johnny. Salute, salute. So yeah, this is what I was talking about. And we not, you know, if you know me, then you know this is what I said, man. Boxing atmospheres where fans used to talk boxing have become nothing more than praise and worship workshops. Let's talk about it. You know, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, you know, because when it comes to certain boxers and all that, it's like, you know, people, they almost make you point out things, and when you point these things out, they make you or gaslight you into feeling like you crazy for putting them out. It's like, no, that's you lie, like you're telling them mistruth. You running with something that's not true. Let's address it. Let's knock it out. Let's eliminate that. Because otherwise, all you're going to do is just going to be a built-up sausage party, man. Knee pads, napkins, bibs, throat coat, tonsil jewelry, everywhere. All over the place. Throat coat. I don't want to be there. I got it for the low. What you talking about, Mike? Listen, I can start here. I can go back here and I can talk about this and what's this push and how people are getting all around, and it's really politics now, and who can control the politics and influence the masses the greatest, not those who can actually look at the facts and critically think for themselves. We'll have you on this train too. I can start there. I can revisit that. That's really not where I want to go. I want to go because right now, boxing wanted. This is what boxing wanted. Boxing wanted this. Boxing wanted this. So it's only a couple things that could have happened. And those things are, one, they can already know and understand behind closed doors what's going down. And it's just a conversation back and forth, just to guide and peg and get a barometer of how the fights feel, which is cool. It's part of business. Feelers, putting out antennas, things that create data, stats, stuff that people don't like to talk about, mathematics and all that. This is what people wanted. Now, because people are seeing that, there's rumblings, there's whispers of things that are going to basically confirm that we're not getting this next. But instead of actually looking at the facts, people want to talk about it, but all they want to do is point blame as to why. But they don't want to look at the reality. They don't want to look at the numbers. They don't want to look at the history. They don't want to look at the timing. They don't want to do the research. They just want to get up and start talking, regurgitating everything that they've heard of what sound good from over here. Again, this a la carte potluck of ideas around this. Lately, I've been listening and I've been wondering, I've been really trying to figure out, because it came a point in time where I realized that I was like, man, I thought, like, even as a fan, when you watch boxers and all that, because he's been in my boxers to watch, I called my definition. I said, you know what? Do I even know who Shakur is? I mean, we don't know who any of these guys are, but like, from what we've seen and like what we heard outside the ring, and then what we see inside the ring, and then the interviews now, and then the history, and you take everything into, do we even know who he is? I mean, people could do whole shows about him and don't even know who he just won a title off of. How you not know who he won the title off of? And so that if you don't know who he won the title off of, then that would make me question if you even follow it, because you would have to know that Devin Haney had dropped the belt and it was vacant. So that's what brought his relevancy there. Why? Because when he was down at 30, getting ready to move up, he missed weight. You know, he came in on the scale over the weight at that point in time. He came in overweight on the scale, said he wasn't going to drain himself down. Andre Ward and all of them gave him a pass. I understand he young, you know, it was this. He just said he got tired of the weight. They gave him a pass at that point in time. And I know because I was a Shakur fan. You know why? Because at the point in time, I was just like, look, man, in many ways, I would say I gave him a pass looking at it. I was like, yeah, well, I guess he said he ain't gonna do like Gary Russell did when he fought Loma and lost that 5 pounds. He said he got down to the point where he said he ain't have nothing left. He said, I just said I wasn't gonna do it. And I respect him. Because who knows? I don't know what would have happened when that Gary Russell. I don't know what would have happened, but if Gary Russell didn't have to lose that extra, I think they said 5 pounds that night when he fought Lomachenko. Even though if you go back and look, because this is what people don't do, they'll love to put Gary Russell on Lomachenko's resume, but they don't want to go back and look at the fight. Look at the scores. Understand it was a knockdown that wasn't counted, but then people say knockdowns ain't everything. Well, did you see the Boachuk and Ortiz fight? But these are facts. It just depends on when you bring these up as to whether or not you're hating. Either way, it shouldn't matter when you bring these up. Those are facts. But when you look at Shakur and you want to talk about it, then let's go back, because a lot of people there new. They caught up in fandemonium, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people be thinking, oh, if you hate this person over there, then if they get on the same side because you don't like them, then that make y'all some kind of blind allegiance or some shit. I don't know what you call it. But at that point in time, he decided he wasn't going to do it. I would say I gave him a pass. I said, look, man, I don't blame him, man. Conceição, he a decent fighter. Why? Because I appreciated what Conceição brought to the table. Conceição been taking he been getting beat up lately, but he got some names on his resume. But at that point in time, I said, man, look, I don't blame Shakur. And the only thing, I was out there, I stepped out in front of him. I said, the only thing he really did was he made it to where he gave up all his leverage. And I said, I wish he wouldn't have done it, because this is chess, not checkers. And that was me speaking as a Shakur fan at the time. So I know. So now all these fake ass Shakur fans, diehards who don't even know what the fuck going on with them now, who out here talking and leading the front and having a voice on, it's like you didn't even know what was going on. Like, I understand. Go and get your money, little duffel bag, but I get it. But those of us who was watching, especially from hardcores, because casuals run boxing, they run boxing talk too. But hardcores know that at that point in time, he missed weight. Now, he went in there and put hands and feet on Conceição. Yeah, he did. Hands and feet. But he didn't have any leverage moving up. That's what made it so trivial and so hard, where if he would have held on to what he had, just like with him having the WBC and Devin being right above him, he could have made a deal to go right above him, right on up with the belt, getting some talks, getting some agreements. You a bigger name. That was in your grasp. You had at 135 with the WBC, when Devin was up there, whatever you want to call him, champion in recess, whatever, Puello up there. You could have did that. He beat the boogeyman. That would have made a statement. That would have said, you know what, for the first time. Well, and I ain't gonna say for the first time. I'm gonna say you could have did that and got it on with Puello. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You a free agent. But things panned out. And the history is, we gotta look at the history. I don't see SS beating this man body work. Maybe if he tap, track star, but the people and judges aren't favoring that style anymore. That's very true. That's very true, Johnny. That's what I'm saying. Like they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out. They just found out. I think people just found out. With that Ryu fight, and I called it. I called it way before. It was a lot of people hindsight saying it, but that's why I say it be timeless, because my video is still up, and you can see it. Where I called it upset. I said how he can do it, why he can do it, pointed out what I've been, but I didn't get caught up in the recency bias when everybody was saying that Pitbull would have beat the snot out of Subriel Matias and all that and ran with it. But I be in real time. That's why sometimes I be thinking I be like a little bit too ahead, and then by the time people realize it, it's like all the research has been done. People are just coming around to these facts. The fact is, let's look at this. Let me see. Let's look at this. Shakur Stevens is 22-0 with 10 knockouts. 45.45% knockout ratio. Like I was just speaking of, he had the WBC World Light. He's 5'8", 68-inch arm reach, and he's a southpaw. Undefeated Olympian. He last fought Artem Harutyunyan. Before that, he fought Edwin De Los Santos. Before that, he fought Yoshino. Yoshino was his welcome party to 135, and I'm gonna show you what happened. He got a TKO in the 6th round. But let's look and see what happened. When you go to Yoshino's record, right? The man 17-1 with 1 KO, 13 knockouts, right? He made his debut in 2015. He's 5'9" and 68, so he's 1 inch taller. They got him listed as being 1 inch taller, same arm reach as Shakur. Well, who was this guy? Okay, so he had a fight. He had a fight back in June, 2 days after the Tank fight, against a guy that was 13-7. They wanted to build his confidence up, whatever. You can deduct whatever. He went 2 rounds with this guy. Before that, he fought Shakur Stevenson. That was in April. Before that, he fought Nakatani, and that was in November. So 6 months prior, he fought Nakatani. Now, Shakur said that the reason why, he said the validation for Yoshino was, he said, oh man, this dude, he fought Nakatani. He beat Nakatani. Why? Because Nakatani was the name. You get me? You get me? Nakatani was the name. So because Yoshino fought Nakatani and did this, now when you go back, if you go back and you look at that fight, because people got to know Nakatani, because styles make fights, and Nakatani gave Teofimo Lopez a very hard night, a very tough fight. A lot of people think that Nakatani actually beat Teofimo. So let's not get caught up in which side, whether you thought Teo won or whether you thought Nakatani won. That's what a lot of people know. People also know that he also fought Loma. But the reason why Yoshino was a name was because he fought Nakatani. Who was Nakatani? And this is the trend. Now Nakatani is 20-3 with 2 KOs and 14. You be like, look at this guy. But you got to look at who Nakatani was, and this is going to make sense. This is what's happening in the sport of boxing right now. If you got to look at Nakatani. Let's look at him. 5'11.5", 71-inch reach, orthodox. He hasn't fought since Yoshino. So November 2022, 23, 24. So in a couple, 2 months? 2 months, he'll be 2 years out. This is after Shakur. Before that, Hermanito de la Torre, 22-3. This guy, he knocked him out in the first round. It is what it is. That was at 135.5. Before that, he fought Vasyl Lomachenko. Took Lomachenko 9 rounds. Before that, he fought Felix Verdejo. TKO'd him 9 rounds. Before that, he fought Teofimo Lopez. Unanimous decision. Some people thought he won. Harvey Dock refereed that fight. So if we stop right there, the guy Nakatani had Teofimo Lopez, Felix Verdejo, Vasyl Lomachenko, and then getting Yoshino. But when you look at that fight, if you wanna try to appreciate the fight between Yoshino and Nakatani, you actually go look at the fight. Like Nakatani, if Nakatani had been more disciplined, he could have boxed Buddy's ears off. He just said, man, yeah, I got caught up. And then, he was like, yeah, I got caught up. Why? Because Yoshino, he the type where he gonna pull the trigger. He gonna do that Maidana-esque, that Pitbull Cruz-esque. If he can wear you down and rough you up and then catch you on them wild overhead joints with enough pressure, and after some fatigue set in, he could sit you down. But you got to watch that fight, and you can be like, oh, okay, cool. Because if you just look at the record and how it happened, like, you won't appreciate what happened in that fight. But if you didn't know that dude ain't win no belt off of no Yoshino, man. Like, Nakatani was the guy. So since Yoshino fought Nakatani, they made it to where, okay, cool. I'm gonna get Yoshino. And Yoshino not a bad guy. He got a 76% knockout ratio. One loss and he got knocked out. He got TKO'd by Shakur. Good name, but nobody knew that dude. Outside of that, they knew him because of Nakatani, but Nakatani was the guy who had Loma and Tio and all, like, you know what I'm saying? So if you look at his resume, his resume is kind of like, whether he won or lost or did whatever he did, Verdejo, Tio, he got names, like, he got people that you know. Nakatani do, not Yoshino. But I remember I did something called Resume X-Ray, and I said, who is this guy? I said, he's tailor-made for, and called it right down the pike. I think 6 rounds. I think Shakur won me money that night on. I think I won money, or he won his part in the parlay. But if you don't know, you just shooting from the hip. So that explains the Yoshino guy. So after Yoshino, right, he had Frank on the hook. This is not going to show up here in BoxRec. He had Frank on the hook. And I was the one that said, man, dang, Frank, that was a duck, man. You signed the deal to set it up. I said it was going to calibrate 135 with that fight because I thought that was a good fight, man. People wanted to see. There was interest. People wanted to see that fight. So when Frank pulled out because he said he needed a little bit of on it, I mean, I was one of the ones that said, hey, man, I got to call that a duck. And I said the only way they can make up for it is if indeed he does get a Tank fight. However, as it pertains to Shakur, you duck Shakur. What legitimized it was when you got Tank, because if you know that there's two options, unlike the fans, because behind closed doors, I'm pretty sure they know that the world is a stage. But I know behind closed doors, you know in your heart of hearts that, okay, cool, I was going to fight Shakur, but I'm getting this to fight Tank. Tank the bigger name, Tank the bigger bag, the bigger stage. Everybody gonna know my name. I mean, you chose, that was your career, so you chose for your career. That's not gonna show up in here in BoxRec. That's not like, so me saying something and pointing out the fact that Frank, you know what I'm saying, that if you want to be politically correct, for his career, he maneuvered around Shakur. That was because really, if you think about it, especially if that happened before the Tank offer, which you gotta kind of reason it might have happened, or simultaneously with the Tank with the Shakur offer. If that happened around that same time, let's see. Yeah, at that same time, then technically that was your first shot at the title. So X amount of times, because I never like to talk about another man's numbers, but X amount of times, however much you got paid, that was there, and your first shot at a title, that was there, and you chose not to do that. And that's his career. You can't blame a fighter. That's his career. Who am I? I'm just a fan. But these are facts. So then you choose Tank. And I said, dang, man, you could have went into a fight where nobody really was like pulling for you. I said you had a shot. I was like, man, I don't know, because Tank, I said, man, Frank proved me wrong with Michelle Rivera, because I looked at Michelle Rivera as the boxer. I looked at Frank like, man, with those dimensions, if he just stay outside and box, because I seen the problems that Jackson Marinas had gave Frank. I'm like, oh, okay, it's one of them, because this might be just a height and reach thing to where if somebody really know how to box Frank, then, you know what I'm saying, they can keep him, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the jab and neutralize him every time he try to come in. They can shut the front door on him and pivot out, and because he's shorter with a shorter reach, he'll be working. But he got deceptively good feet. I think he got fast feet. He's athletic. He's agile, and he got good reflexes. And I think his power was above average. I just think he was over muscular, too stiff. But that was the breakdown. So to say that I'm not a Frank fan for saying that he ducks Shakur, and for saying that I ain't a Shakur fan because I'm telling the truth about these last couple of opponents and following it down the line, straight down the middle. That ain't gonna gain me no favor with either one of them fan bases. It's only gonna gain me favor with those who appreciate the truth about what's going on. That's not gonna show up on BoxRec. Then you had Edwin De Los Santos. Edwin De Los Santos was the guy. Let's look. He was 16-2 with 14 knockouts, 87% knockout rate, and that one decision. Let's just look at it. Now he 5'8" with a 70-inch arm reach, so he had 2 inches on Shakur. Made his debut in 2018. We get to 6 years yet? Yep, we just in this 8/25. So couple of days, 7 days, 6 years. He been a in 7 days. He would have been a professional for 6 years. He got Shakur. Before that, he boxed Joseph Adorno. To me, it looked like he boxed his head off. And look at these scores: 99-91, 100-90, 100-90. Like boxed his head off. Like me, I kept saying, and it was no disrespect to Adorno, I kept saying, man, maybe he was working on something, because it looked like he was kind of like working on something. He was showing some reserve and some patience in that. When I was like, man, he could have stepped on the gas and got rid of him, but he wanted to show that he can go them rounds. I think he wanted to get those rounds in. He wanted, you would think he needed to get those rounds in, because look, the last fight before that was on September the 22nd, all the way up to July the 23rd. That's 2 months shy. 2 months shy. 2 months shy of a year. He wanted to get those rounds in. Venezuela stopped Venezuela in 3 rounds. Now he suffered some adversity because Ryu was able to knock him down. But Ray Corona stepped in and consoled Ryu. And that was after that fight was when Benavidez Sr. said that he wasn't focused and all this stuff and all that. And I said, man, that might not have been, you know, the time to do that, and that, you know, whether you thought he was focused or not. But I thought that was kind of like a saving face type thing from Benavidez Sr. I said that. It was in my adversity university. When I said, nah, man, I was like, I rock with Ryu. I was just like, man, hey, they don't call him the grenade for nothing. But if you go back, right, before that, 6 months earlier, he fought Luis Acosta. He was 12-0. He knocked him out in the 2nd round. This Willie Foster fight right here, I can't find it. But people say that you could have called this fight either way, man. It went a 4-8, 74-77, 77-74, 74-77. And a lot of people believe that that was his first fight. That was just like that guy. Remember that guy, Santiago? Remember that dude, Santiago, that Devin brought over? Same thing with this Willie Foster fight. Now, people know who Willie Foster is. William Foster. But this is the same guy. William Foster just had a fight not too long ago that was like, man, Willie got beat up here recently in a fight. But first fight over. This was his first fight in the States. So that was just in 2022, that was his first fight in the States. So he had William Foster on here, Luis Acosta, Jose Valenzuela, Joseph Adorno, and Shakur Stevenson. That's who De Los Santos was, and that's the history on him. But it was a time when De Los Santos' name kept coming up for Tank, and people, see, look at him, man. They already gonna have him fight De Los Santos. So at first, it was all this friction about the fight. At first, it was all this friction about the fight, but now that it's rumored that Shakur is it's whispers that Shakur is getting ready, you know, he's going for Zepeda, and Zepeda saying, hey, family time, you know, he's saying the family time thing, cool, but he's choosing Joe Cordina. So now people are saying, well, since Tank didn't send no offer, some people, it's divided between people saying, man, Zepeda is mandatory, even though that's not who he's probably getting ready to fight. If it got pushed back to February and he want to get another one in, that's not who he's going to fight. And if the whispers are the Joe Cordina, which we'll have a look-see, if it is, but I wouldn't be thorough if I didn't go over this Artem. He fought Artem. Artem 12-2, 7 knockouts, 58% knockout rate. Orthodox, he's 5'7", 34 years old, by the way. Before Shakur, 112, 116, 110, 118, 109, 119. Boxing clinic. I mean, I guess you could say boxing clinic. People don't like numbers and stats. Before that, he fought Frank Martin. So it's been a year. So he waited a year. He's been out for a year, and then Shakur get him. He gets Shakur coming back from Frank Martin a year later, where some people was arguing that he could have won that fight, arguably. 112, 115, 112, 115, 113, 114. That's how close that fight was with him and Frank Martin. He was the loser. Frank jumped off that hook, so that redeemed him. So, but that's who Shakur chose, was Artem, to finish it out. That's who Shakur chose to finish it out. So he was coming off a loss. Shakur chose him. These are rules, these are standards that a lot of boxers don't really get the benefit of actually getting. Like we don't accept you don't ever. I know some of the biggest voices in the world always say, man, it ain't good to fight somebody coming off a loss, man. You gotta go and do something. And you could come off a loss, but that's not acceptable. But if you look at this guy, and I like Joe Cordina. I like his style. Good personality. I mean, it's raining out there. It's coming down outside. He's 17-1. Got stopped once. 9 KOs. I like his style. I like the style. He 5'9", 69-inch reach. I like his style. He just 130 moving up. So when you point this out, him being 130 moving up, coming off of a stoppage loss, eighth round, and Buddy stalked him, man. Buddy wanted that fight so much, and that was the starving artist that he got in the ring with. I watched that fight, man. That fight was like, man, that fight, Buddy, you could tell Buddy fought that fight like he had been preparing for Joe Cordina all his life, man. All his life. I think he kind of got up under his skin and doing, you know what I'm saying? He did that. But I seen him when he fought Edward Vasquez, and Joe Cordina in that fight was making, he made that fight a lot tougher than what he could have made. And look how close that fight was. 116, 112, 114, 114, 116, 112. When he fought Edward Vasquez for it. Like it was tough. But I like his style. I like Joe Cordina's style. I just think that sometimes he finds himself in a brawl where he got good enough feet, he got good enough, hand speed to where he can do some things, but he likes to get caught up in a brawl. But this was a TKO. So people was upset when Rolly, if we want to talk about Rolly, people was upset that Rolly got stopped by Tank. And his next time up, he got up there and got his shot. Not only did he get his shot, but that's when Tony Weeks was up there and he fought Barroso. So people didn't like that. So people crying about Earl coming off coming off a stoppage to Bud getting a shot. They complain that they don't like it. Oh, but this is different. This is different. Like, no, you don't like it when Earl did it. You didn't like it when Pitbull did it. But this guy, Joe Cordina, from across the pond, is rumors, it's whispers that he's gonna be able to come back and get a shot. So don't this is for the hardcore. This is like if you perceive this as hate, oh well, man. Oh well. We're not gonna have a sausage party. We don't get down like that. We just gonna point out the facts. Fruits and veggies, not that Reggie. So it wasn't. If you didn't like it for Rolly moving up, getting that Barroso. If you don't like what Earl getting ready to do, moving up and doing that, then you shouldn't like Joe Cordina moving up from 30, getting a shot at Because when you bring up Moritaya, who was over there, and some of the young guns, it was like Ixnay on the Fishnay. It was like, no, like when you talk about the other, you talk about another young brother. Like if you want to be cold, if you want to speak, because sometimes this is another thing with these conversations, the gaslighting. Is sometimes you want to be on code, and then sometimes you don't. So it's like, how about we not even use that and keep it along with the, stick it to boxing. But it's a young Floyd Schofield out there, young brother that would love an opportunity. He would have loved the opportunity. We can't get Keyshawn because y'all BFFs. I know Richardson, I don't know what the relationship is, but you would say for the right thing and this, and if it's all about opportunities and building names, but y'all cool. You and Rich and Hitchison, y'all cool. Okay, cool. But to if you don't like, these are the double standards. This is what I be trying to say. These are things that people don't want to talk about, where they're trying to make it seem like, oh, you just trying to find any old thing. This is just to stay busy. Okay, so a stay busy, it's cool now, but don't let that standard be that standard, because before y'all didn't want to see the grenade and tank. Y'all said, oh man, look, man, they just gonna have them. We starting to hear about PVC diet. It's that PVC diet. They do everything in house and all that. Like everybody else not doing the whole in-house thing. Like because even when you hear about Boots in the next fight, is Karan and somebody from across the pond. Once again, and it was before that, it was an Avanesian again. Once again, so when you break it down, these are places, these are little nooks and crannies where these fannies be trying to hide behind, and it don't make sense when you add it up, because it's just different strokes for different folks. You have like Earl Spence, Tank, the guys they love to hate, they're held to a different standard than everybody else. Like they gotta be flawless. They gotta be absolutely flawless and immaculate. They gotta be able to talk the right way, walk the, that's how they gotta be. But other guys can do these types of things, because I'm not sure why, but I think it's somewhere along the lines to where politics and pandemonium get involved, and we really don't want to look at the facts. And since I said I was going to be honest, I'm going to say I would be honest. And I said I was going to do this across the board. If it's raining wherever you at, be safe. Wear your raincoat. I don't know why that won't go away. But you still have people out here, when the conversation of this man comes up, you still have people saying, well, he got all these fights and he ain't fought nobody. It's like, man, I don't care if it was like, if he fought 32 cans. Like the 32 cans, he knocked all but 3 of them out. Like if that was so, but we know that's not the case. Why? And if you point this out, you're gonna be considered a hater. But these are facts. This is what nobody likes. These are fruits and veggies, not those Reggies. And we gotta do this. We gotta do this. This man is 5'10", 74-inch reach, 90% knockout rate. He fought David Avanesian. 5th round. And it's crazy because anybody but the Boots camp, if you talk to anybody but the Boots camp, whenever you talk to somebody or they give a reference of this, They always, this is the key phrase when they start off when they describe Boots. They always say, well, he might not have looked his best, but he still got the job done. I'm like, why you gotta start it with that when the man stopped him? He stopped him in the 5th round, man. So he stopped Avanesian in the 5th round. Bud stopped him in the 6th round. 6-5. So when you chasing somebody and you doing the whole common opponent thing, and this is after he didn't fight him off of a loss, he actually had a win, and then he come back and boom, in the 5th round, get him out of there. Gave him crazy work. We don't acknowledge that. Like, acknowledging that is considered hate. When you only speaking facts. Plus tags. So again, I say that it's all about, and who was Avanesian? Like, because some of us, the ill part of it is some of us, when Bud pulled him up, we was like, man, okay, David Avanesian, who is he? What has he done? Let's see. Askari Metz knocked him out in the 1st round. This guy was 15-0. Liam Taylor, 23-1-1. He TKO'd him in the 2nd round. Josh Kelly, I think that's one of the names. That's probably the name that everybody really know and time down with, and that was in 2021. Egis Kavalauskas. So 3 years before 2021. So Egis Kavalauskas had already knocked this guy out back in 2018. Just like the flack that remember that flack that Andy Cruz was getting for Moran and all that? Because there was plenty of time for Moran to make some changes since that Devin Haney and them fight. So they would reason that, oh man, Egis, that was like, man, you know how long ago that was? It was back in 2018, man. People can rebuild and people can do this and that. Yeah, he did. He went on to get TKO, KO. He went on and did some things, but Egis Kavalauskas, the Green Machine, got rid of him in 6. And let's not bring up Egis, because when you point this fact out, when you point this fight, because everybody say it with Sean Porter, everybody say it with Kell Brook, everybody will say that, but you can't point this out. Virgil Ortiz, 8th round. Golly, Terrence Crawford, 9th round. Now Crawford did it first. Virgil did it so that the rule is supposed to be that, okay, if you're gonna do it, we're gonna do the common opponent thing. Then if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna try to get it done earlier than you. And golly, he got it done earlier than that. But you would be hating if you would have pointed that out. This is just facts where we move the goalposts. I just wanted to point that out. And also, him and Ray Robinson got a split decision, which was also brought up that Ray Robinson, him and Terrence Crawford had a history where he beat him in the amateur. Oh, that's just the amateurs. Only Madrimov, who fought Terrence Crawford, was praised over the amateurs. But guess who? Okay, so when he fought him and they went to a draw, but this is Ray Robinson, the guy he got history with. Right here, Ray Robinson. The guy who he had history with. Just like Ugas. Philly. The Philly brethren. '95, 95, 97, 93, 95, 95. That sounds like a damn close fight, right? So, but the guy that Bud fought wasn't this guy. Ray Robinson, 5'10", 78-inch reach. Got 3 losses, got stopped once. by Ugas. And I saw that fight. If you saw that fight, I saw that fight. That was a good fight, man. That's a good fight, man. People don't like putting respect on Ugas' name, but that was a good fight, man. Ugas was formidable. But we don't look at stuff like that. And when you point out these things, oh, you just hating, you just trying to take away from the legacy. Like, no, you could be just pointing out a fact to where when somebody move these goalposts, when they want to talk about these fighters, we don't look at it like that. But I think people need to do this, man, because you hear a lot of people just on there, even if they haven't went back and watched it. If you wasn't around, it's easy if you was around and you was watching the fights in real time and like you was like tuning in and checking it out. That's one thing. You don't have to go back and do this. You might have to do it after some time just to see, okay, exactly. All right, let me pinpoint. Okay, cool. Because sometimes you might be like, well, this before that or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you keeping tabs on a bunch of different boxes. When you're doing that, you might not have the time, but you got to go in here and look at who these guys was and what they did. Doing all this stuff I'm talking about, I was around actually watching the fights and critiquing them and scoring them and all that. So it's like I was there then, but also following along with the political conversations around all of these fights being made and stuff like that. That's why it's hard to like pull the wool over most people's eyes who've been paying attention. It's either you paying attention and you got your goggles on straight, or you got an agenda. And what I find funny about when it comes down to Boots is you can come out and you can raise a flag for Boots, right? You can push him forward. But when you say that you have not seen Boots fight anybody where he didn't have the majority of the advantages, that's when people hit you with the hate. Man, you just hating, man. I just knew it, man. You just an Earl fan. It's like, no, I'm just a objective boxing fan. Yes. So when I point that out, that's what gets me out of the favor of the people that, you know, that Boots rock with and stuff like that. That's what get them, because if you're not having a sausage party, putting on knee pads and stuff like that, anything you say that's critical of that, or like even in analysis, you're deemed as hating. That's my only thing. I just want to see Boots against some people that I don't think he has all the advantages of. Because sometimes you can think, okay, boxing IQ, but right now we see that he pretty much physical advantages, athleticism, punch power, offensive variety. He's looking like a nightmare. We just don't know if somebody else he can see him up against somebody with a higher IQ, might not be as athletic, but has a higher boxing IQ, and that fight might get real interesting. I think Montes Stanyanis has a fairly good boxing IQ. He's a pretty solid guy. I think he's pretty stubborn in what he wants to do and in trying to impose his will, and he's been successful at doing it. But we won't know till we see it. So those are the only question marks. But when you bring that up, depending on what day and what time and what crowd you're around, if you bring that up about Boots, then you're considered a hater, which I don't see how it is. But when I looked at this fight, this fight right here, I came out and I did a video about it. And I said, man, people were trying to say that Boots didn't get touched. I was like, man, hold on, man. Did y'all watch the fight? And people say, what they say with him and his footwork, they say that he ran. No, I think he used his legs. Look at him. He's Ukrainian. What allowed Derevyanchenko to survive last night against Christian and Billy? What allowed him with a hurt bicep? What allowed him to survive? Other than his people not throwing in the towel, what allowed him to survive? His legs. What allows Usyk to be in any fight with any guy that he decides to get in the ring with? His legs. What are these guys from over there known for having and being able to use? His legs. So I can't say I'm bittersweet. Like, if the rumblings are that he's going to get this guy again, if that's the rumblings, I'm not gonna say I'm mad at the fight. I'm not gonna say I'm mad at it. I'm just gonna say that I would rather see Bud and Boots. I would rather see Boots and Brian Norman Jr. I'd rather see Boots and Demontis Stanionis. Mario Barrios. Because you, like, if you are a fan of Boots, you're gonna have to endure everybody saying, well, who's Karan? And then you're gonna have the people that over embellish and say that he really beat Boots. And it's like, man, stop it. You're gone too far now. It's like, no, we've seen some opportunities in there where Boots swung and did a whole 360. And if you haven't seen the fight, then go back and watch the fight. The dude was, man, if the dude had any kind of power, if he had just a little bit more confidence, but he was very smart. He was very smart to last, to be able to do that. He used his legs to do it. But to say that he didn't touch Boots, like, that was one of them conversations where they were saying he didn't touch Boots. I'm like, well, you didn't watch the fight, man. And they all get touched. It's funny how that narrative comes out depending on, like, because if you're talking about a Shakur fight, it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you don't gotta have the knockout order. It's not all about the knockouts. And then you hear somebody talk about Boots. Oh man, he got touched way too much. It's like, how did he get touched way too much? And they didn't even look at the number. They didn't even look at it. They saw the fight, listened to the commentary, was part of a tribe. Because I've heard people that I rock with call fights and they still biased in what they're actually saying. It's just inherent. You just got to commit to just looking at what your eyes are seeing and not caring about who wins. Just hoping that the person that you want to win, hoping that they do, but like actually recognizing what your eyeballs are seeing. We can't even do that now in boxing talk. People will tell y'all, man, he didn't get hit. Why did he got a knot? Why did he didn't get hit? Where did that mouse come from? If it was just straight rights, where did the mouse come from on the right eye? Where did that come from? If it was just straight rights. Like, stop it. You just think that because somebody point that out, they're hating. They're not. It happens. This is boxing. But I know you ain't never laced them up. Nope, but I've been in plenty of fights. Plenty of fights. So it is what it is, man. I'm not mad at that. But I don't want people to, I would rather have this in order to set up something in the interim to get a Brian Norman Jr. Or this is the other thing. And this is another place where, where you might find a Boots fan getting upset with you. Or should I say a Boots only fan? Remember, I think I just told you what the difference between a fan and an only fan. The only other place that you might hear somebody get mad, a Boots only fan get mad at you, is when if T.O. says, now we know T.O. can be very irritating. But if it's all about business and it's all about names and it's all about, growing your career and doing this and this, that, check me out. If you're doing what Bud is doing, which is calling the biggest name above him that he could call. No matter how you feel about it, Bud is calling out the biggest name above him that he can call, which is in Canelo. You're calling the number one pound for pound fighter in the world, according to everybody. Nobody wants to fight you or get in the ring with you. You just showing you can do 14K, and with the right dance partners, that could just change the price on the tickets, and boom, that's a lot of bread. In Philly, to get that many people come out, whether you comp some tickets or not, if you did 80-90% of that, that's golden. Don't let them trick you. See, that's gaslighting, because they'll downplay those numbers. But even though Shakur, he did with 8, between 8 and 9. I think they said 8 or 9K plus. So Boots did 14. That's just playing the numbers. That's just talking about the seats and all that, and all, ticket. They ain't not talking about ticket sales and comps and who was there for free and all that stuff that people like to use to get outside of the sport. But you can actually get a name. And you have proven that you can get 14K in the seat as a headline in Philly. You on the map. You can start clearing out the landscape at 47 so they can no longer use the fact that you haven't fought the name that they want, shall we say. Not a nobody, because I don't know why you doing the, people say they don't do triangle theories, but then they'll, they refuse to talk about common opponents unless it's beneficial to the points they're trying to make. So when it comes down to Boots, he need to clear out 47. He don't need to go to 54 right now. But with a guy like Tio calling out Boots with everything he has on his resume and what he's trying to do, you could call his bluff. Well, wouldn't that be? What would that look like? Would that look like Apollo Creed versus Rocky? Wouldn't it? Carl Weathers and Sylvester Stallone. Wouldn't that look like that? They could do the steps. They could redo the movie. They could do it. Why not? Why not? But the Boots only fans be like, oh man, how the audacity of Tio, he just be clout chasing. It's like, well, hold on, man, that's a name. Like, that's what alongside, because if you don't do it, he gonna go up there and do it to Brian Norman. But I guess if he go up there and do it to Brian Norman, then you gonna feel like it's locked in. And since he, I guess, moved himself up, even though, this would be his third weight class. This would be his third weight class. And I'm like, I'm bittersweet with Tio, man. I like Tio, man. I think he got lost in the sauce somewhere. I think this media and how to promote got in his head. He getting so many passes for this racial gaslighting stuff that he's doing. I don't like it. I think it's dangerous. Because some people don't really play about it. So I'm looking at it like, man, somebody need to Bud, he calling Bud. Bud won't do it. You chasing Bud, but he chasing you, and then Keyshawn chasing. So he won't give Keyshawn a shot. But if they say Boots ain't did nothing, I'm like, well, what? But then people will say Keyshawn, man, he next, and he got this, and it's like they'll say that this man Boots ain't did nothing, and then act like Keyshawn deserve a shot at Tank tomorrow. Like, hold on, but because this is what we got to do, and this is all it takes. This is how you make sure that you're doing a check on learning. And this, hey, the businessman, he from down the street. Him and Kelvin DB3. I think Kelvin gonna be, man. Kelvin, I hope Kelvin do it right, man. I hope Kelvin keep doing what he doing, and I hope he do it right, man. I try to keep my eye on him, man. I think he got the frame, and if he just, man, I don't know what it is, but I think he has a skill set, and he got the frame and the build to be very, very dangerous, man. But when we speak about Keyshawn, he 11-0. Same as Madrimov, except for he doesn't have a title. 11-0 with 7 knockouts, 63% knockout. So Keyshawn deserves everything. Boots ain't fought no name. He don't deserve nothing. This is how people are gaslighting you. If you point out something contrary to either one of those two boxers, they're gonna say you hating. It's like, no, based on what the objective, what we're trying to establish as to how it should go and how we can get these fights. If we don't keep it 10 times 10 when we're talking about them, we're going to miss the mark. It's just going to be a bunch of people having a measuring contest. Where you pull yours out and then he pull his out, and you're going to try to, y'all just going to go back and forth and see how, come on, man. The stuff that we ain't supposed to be doing, man. But if we had a standard on them all, if we could agree somehow to hold ourselves to, okay, are we accepting people coming off of a loss? Okay, is amateurs worth? How much is the amateur aspect of things worth? How much of it is having an Olympic medal? How much is that worth? Like, how much are these things worth? If you want to talk about politics, It's different once they get inside the ring, but a lot of times we use politics that get in the way of us seeing the fights where it really matters. Where it don't matter who was doing this and who was doing that, it matters who performed that night. Who didn't crack under the pressure? Who didn't underestimate their opponent? You can have all that training, all that knowledge, all that experience, and underestimate a guy and he catch you cold. It happens. But when you talk about Key, you know, when you talk about Keyshawn, man, he is the businessman. He had Miguel Medueno, 31-2. I was saying that he was more experienced than the guy Steve Claggett had fought. As far as resume-wise, this man, Medueno, he had been in the ring with a bunch of people with names. Teofimo chose Steve Claggett, but when Steve Claggett and Medueno fought, Steve Claggett, according to the fight and how it went, you kind of put hands and feet on Medueno. I was looking for Keyshawn to go out there and stop him. I think he played around. I think he spent his legs by picking them up and doing, like, you would say that's, you ain't gonna say it's rookie, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, you know, you get a rile out the crowd, but you got to know that you're gonna need them legs, man, especially if a guy is banking on you getting tired, or you underestimating him, or you thinking that you just gonna hit him with like a couple combinations and he gonna lay down. Some of these guys can take a licking and keep on ticking. I think the ceiling is very high on Keyshawn. He is another guy that I kind of stay away from the conversations around Keyshawn, because unless you're just saying everything like, oh, that's facts, oh man, yeah, he's great. No, unless you're saying all of that, you're not gonna fit in, man. Because people will go overboard with what they're saying and how they're pushing something. It's like, hold on now. At this level and at this time, wouldn't it be more realistic for us to push for this fight because it's more realistic to make? But we start making demands that are like unrealistic, and because enough people say it and get behind it, you'll have people running around trying to echo it and defying what should really be happening in the sport. That's why certain boxers I don't talk about it like that. I mean, I'll talk about them when it as it's relevant. I'll speak on them, but I just try to put out the facts, man. I just try to look at everything, man, and having an overall love for all of the boxers, man, knowing what they go through, knowing that they get hit in the head, knowing that they, you know what I'm saying, knowing that at any point in time, so it's not like, it's like we kind of get like, we go overboard sometimes with taking it personal. You know, you gotta think, man. You when you a star or a star in the making, people are watching. They critiquing you. They putting you up there because they got you. They look at you in a certain light. They be like, oh man, that brother, man, he can go so far, man. If he just dialed in, and then, you know, I know me personally, I'll be speaking from older experience. I'll be speaking from like, oh man, I remember how I was when I was that age, man. Couldn't tell me nothing. Even though you didn't have to tell me a lot. Because my mother made sure I was taught I was raised where there was consequences and repercussions. So I was more calculated and dialed in my approach, but I still made plenty of mistakes as a young man. I still was like aggressive. I still was like, you know, like, I know how it is. I know how I couldn't imagine. I knew it from being like military, like being in the army and being successful like that inside of the confines of being in the army, being overseas, like doing different things. Like, I know it from that aspect. I can't imagine like being from a boxer, like just, you know what I'm saying? I just can't imagine. So at the end of the day, I hope they all do well. My objective when I get online is to point out and to talk about things as it relates to us actually seeing them inside the ring. And a lot of the times my assessment always starts from inside the ring and it works its way outward. I try not to get caught up in the politics, but I realize that, man, now all people want to talk about is the politics, who's more popular, who's this, because you gotta think, man, popularity in this whole name game, at the end of the day, you can say what you want. You can deny it. You can if you don't want to look yourself in the mirror and you know and say this 3 times, this name and this popularity stuff is not getting us the big fights, man. It's not. It's not. Like doing what's logical and everybody getting on the same sheet of music, pushing for the same thing, being lock in step is what's gonna get us to fight. Until then, this is what we're gonna get. We're gonna get Sausage Party boxing talk, man. That's the era we in right now, man. Sausage Party boxing talk, man, with SA Glazing. All around the map. Whoever the topic of the day, man, whether if they like them, it's just glazed, man. Glazed donuts, man. Footlongs, Frankfurters, Half Smoke. You know, that's all it's gonna be, man. It's like, man, let's be objective in our conversations, man, because it's getting nasty out here, man. It's nasty work out here, man, when it comes to this boxing talk here lately, man. It's like, man, let's just keep it real, man. I didn't even want to, man, I don't want to do this, man, but I don't want to have to go back down BoxRec, man, and talk about the landscape of certain champions, man. I don't want to have to do that. I don't. You should be doing it. So when somebody say something like, because we put more weight, I noticed this. Look, I've heard this a lot here lately where you could have a show and it could be like, it could have good positive energy behind it. And you could be pointing out something or trying to, you know, give your salutes to somebody, right? If you're going to have a constant dialogue about it and people actually going to be in there talking to you about it, why do you always harp on the most negative thing that somebody say, especially when you know that it's not a fact? Like, it's not like when you know that they're saying it just to troll. When you know that they're pretty much like spamming is when it's like comment after comment after comment. Not when they're doing that, but when they're spamming in a manner where they'll say it today, they'll say it tomorrow, they'll say it in 2 weeks, they'll say it in 3 weeks, and they're spamming over weeks just saying the same thing. And we know the day of that it's a lie. You do realize that that's not gonna help us get the fights. We're not gonna because people be ready to send out GPSs and pull up and you drop your logo. We as fans, people be ready to do that type stuff. I joked about this a long time ago. It's like sometimes right now in the boxing climate we in, you'll probably get a fan pulling up and really getting some smoke with another fan before you actually get these boxers in the ring. And I try to be the voice of reason, saying like, hey man, you're going a little bit overboard with what you're saying on this, because man, that's not all right and exact, man. You know that man had an opportunity to fight that dude. You know that man had a contract that he never, you know he did, right? Yeah. Tim Bradley said it on air, like, yeah, like he wasn't the only one who got left on red. You do know that, right? Oh, okay. But you think because you're echoing the sentiments of everybody else who's perpetuating a lie that's going to help us get the fights. And we can see now that even when the coast is clear and people are free to do whatever they want, and there's a big bag, we realizing that even that big bag is still not getting us the fights. Because remember, oh man, that's not about legacy, because people pick and choose when they want to be about legacy or not, right? But it's really at the end. But then, the fans will be like, man, I don't care, man. As long as they getting paid, and man, they making more money than you because you got to go to work every day. All that stuff sound good. That's a form of gaslighting. I think I went over this in the beginning of the conversation. That's a form of gaslighting. But the fact of the matter is, if money ain't a thing, like Jay-Z and Jermaine Dupri, then we should be getting the biggest fights. Like, it shouldn't be no, who, what name, what he. That's not what we getting, man. That's why I said, man, this I see people on the swag, man. People talking, they talking this, they'll sit and listen. They talking about this, and they getting good content off of it. You know what I'm saying? But remember who told you first, everything that glitters ain't gold. But go and get your money, little duffel bag boy. I'm the last one to stand between you and the bag. I'm just saying, don't gaslight us. We're gonna rock with you if you decent. You know what I'm saying? You moving the way we want you to move, we're gonna rock with you. But don't have fans ready to pull up on other fans and drop locations and, you know, and do all this, get more violent than you tend to get inside of the ring. Come on now. That don't match. You know, and I know it's not just me. But I'm trying to tell y'all what that is, man. And if it was a big enough bag, it's like, no, because that whole conversation was a deception. It's money out there, there's opportunity out there, but y'all do know that unto whom much is given, much is required, right? Ain't nothing changed about that. You think, oh man, he just want to look out. Oh yeah, okay. All righty then. Let's not have no sausage. Let's not be having these sausage parties out here, man. Let's not have sausage party boxing talk, man. It's getting old, man. You just gonna come in and glaze and spam, say the same thing over again. You don't know your facts. You microwave your research. You do like 15, 20 minutes looking up some things that you want to say and do, and then you come out and you say those things, but they don't make no sense. You just want to be down like Brandy. And when people point out things that you know to be true because you so scared to look like you ain't part of the pack, or you that salmon swimming upstream, you don't say nothing. Well, silence is consent, as far as I'm concerned. And if we keeping it all boxing and we starting inside the ring and working our way out, then I mean, what are you mad about? What are you triggered about? It's not gonna help us get the fights. Did GTD age out Loma, or will he try to spin the block on him? In my opinion, man, I don't think he aged him out. He younger than Bud. And don't let me say resume. Don't let me talk about his resume versus Bud resume, but he younger than Bud. So, I mean, that's another narrative. That was a narrative. That was a loaded narrative right there. That was you said a lot. You implied that fight had people leaving the arena early. Body work, yeah. Champion Sports Boxing, salute body work. Salute Champion Sports Boxing. I'm here. I'm here though. I want y'all to know I'm here. You got something on your chest, man. You got something you want to say? Say it, man. Boxing, man. We doing good. We in a good spot, man. Everything that we want is right there. It's opportunity. It's more money. It's starting to become a lack of creativity. It's a bunch of people just regurgitating. There's people stealing people's stuff and being messy and sloppy, and like it's just everywhere you go and you really want to talk about some real boxing talk, man, you get a bunch of sausage partying, man, a bunch of sword fighting, man. All you want, it's like I don't even understand why people do certain shows about certain people, because they're not going to accept anything that's contrary to what they have to say. Like, who wants to do that? That just means you got a fan club. Why do you call it a boxing channel when it's really a fan club? Just say I got a fan club. That's easier. Other than the illusion of being unbiased, just to come out and everything somebody say you got to do something or it's more material to make more money. Like, we've seen through that, and for people to do that now, I understand that it's a way to get bread. I understand that it's a way to get bread. I do, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. If you got that flavor and people are gonna like the personality and everything behind what you put on it, you don't got to do that. You don't got to spend nothing. You don't got to spend no narrative or you don't have to do that. People are gonna like you for your personality and what you bring to the table, how your critical thinking skills, the way you analyze and look, your angle. It's like you can see 4 different horror movies, but the people who produced it and directed is what make the movie, along with the people that can execute it the best, with the least amount of flaws, and hold your interest. It creates your demand or your yearning to be able to go back and watch it again. Food for thought, man. I thought I was gonna have to, because I was thinking about doing this. Remember I had done this the other day. This, you see this? You see this black book? Man, I could go on about that topic forever, but it's like, why? Why would I do that? I would just create things for people to come up with the anti and feed people to come up with the anti to these things. It's like, no, what's going on in boxing right now is there's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities to get belts. There's a lot of opportunities if we had a standard. If we had a standard, and if we maintain standards, I don't care if it was that platform, that platform, that platform, that platform, and we kind of check those boxes, at least what we were saying would be loud enough and unified enough where they would have to respect us, where they would have to. But we changed the standard based on the fighter that we like or take a liking to. We changed the standard. It's a different standard. Like, some fighters got to get the knockout, or they don't look. Like, if Boots go 12 and he don't get the knockout, oh man. But if Shakur go 12 and he don't get the knockout, it was art. It's just different. You know, Keyshawn, he could say he's gonna stop Tank and go in there and fight Medueno and don't stop him, and still, you know, and when you point that out, you know, you can drop a belt. You can drop a belt and move up when you had an opportunity to fight somebody. You don't fight them. You drop your belt and you move up. Some people don't consider that a duck. Some people do. You can suffer a loss. Get your win back. Be called champ in recess. And when you come back in this era, you don't want to fight the guy that's sitting in your seat. I mean, unless you David Benavidez. David Benavidez got stripped. He came back and he wanted, you know what I'm saying? He started to want, because that's when Canelo started to run for Liam. You know, that's when he got Liam, and he went on that run where one of them guys was his old sparring partner, and Liam. He had Liam Smith, Billy Joe. I forgot his old sparring partner. I could pull up box for it, but that's one of them things where I just had to just do a brain dump and say, look, man, he pulled whatever card, because he used the secondary belt to actually go on his run for Undisputed at 68. People don't want to look at that. You point that out as a fact, people are going to say you're hating. But he did. He used his secondary belt, you know, to actually get his foot in the door to do that 168 Undisputed. Nobody said anything about it. But you're just hating and they use resume. That's that's pretty much all I really had to say about boxing, man. We got to kind of clean it up, man. We got to try to clean up, you know, or at least make an attempt, man, to make it fun again. Boxing talk ain't even fun again no more, man. It ain't even fun, man. It's all it really do is a bunch of people waiting to speak their turn and say the same thing again, and hopefully it'll resonate. I guess they be thinking, if I keep saying it, you know what I'm saying? If I keep, you know what I'm saying? If I just keep declaring it, it's got to be true. Devoid of facts. You know, as long as you keep saying it, as long as you believe it, as long as what they say, as long as 2 or 3 get in agreement and agree, you know, yeah, I mean, in theory, that sounds good, unless y'all standing on a lie. Unless y'all standing on a lie. Salute Roll Rage. Salute Body Work, finally caught alive. Man, yeah, man. Glad to see you back in the building, man. Hope everything going good for you, man. Everything went up and up, man. I thought I should do this, man, just to try to encourage people to say, look, man, you can like your fighter and you can do this, but like if we all were a little bit honest about our fighters, man, we all were a little bit honest about what we're seeing, I think at least people wouldn't go to some of the extremes with some of the arguments they making. Why? Because it does not equate to us getting these fights. It don't. All I know is, like I was saying with Benavidez and Canelo, when he got stripped, he came back. He wanted the man that was sitting in his seat. He wanted the man that was sitting in his seat. And he was chasing him ever since. He just got the memo. Well, it just happened with Devin, and he got his O back, and everybody was looking for somebody that could be, and then he's going to fight a guy coming off a loss. That's what the rumblings are. That's who they want in Isaac Pitbull Cruz. They're going to fight a guy coming off a loss, and that's acceptable. Shakur Stevenson just fought a guy coming off a loss. That was acceptable. He's getting ready to fight another guy coming off a stoppage loss, and that's acceptable. But also we got to look at it like this is going to be another guy moving up this is a guy that's moving up in weight. I mean, the height and the size and all that, they're relatively the same. They're relatively the same. They're about the same. But that wouldn't be acceptable for a lot of the fighters that's held to a different standard. Like that standard, that wouldn't fly with Tank. I don't even know, would that fly with Jermell Charlo when he was at the sea? People don't even want to talk about Jermell Charlo. People act like Jermell Charlo it don't even exist no more. And he was the man at 50. He was the man at I think he's still a man at 54. I mean, since Bud in the division and people declare him pound for pound number 1, you could say it's Bud, but the guy with the most experience, the guy who has shown that, any given night he can knock you out, even if he gets another bite at the apple, he can knock you out. So 1 out of 2 times is either he might, and he lost to Harrison on a decision. A lot of people thought Mel won it. A lot of people thought that the Castano fight, the first one, that it was, that Castano won it. I could have saw it either way. The second time he came back and stopped him. He was the one who, when everybody's saying that Lubin was hot, he came in and spiked Lubin. You got people today, it's a lot of people right now that don't want to fight Lubin. Going over to Lubin, it's a lot of people saying that Lubin don't want that zoo smoke. I don't know. I'm not an insider. Somebody let me know. But if you my philosophy is, man, I just try to keep it a buck on all of them. I don't act like I don't know certain things about them. I don't wait till certain fights happen and then be like, oh man, I knew it, and flip and flop. Like, I don't do that. I call it ahead of time. And sometimes I'm wrong. But I'll tell you. I'll be like, hey, yeah, I was wrong about that one. I ain't see that coming. That's just me though. That's just me, man. I was just trying to put out something, man, so that we can kind of like, man, like, one, for people who this happens to, who that you got a point. Why? Because what happens is, what they do is they wait so much time. They'll wait a month, they'll wait 3 months. Sometimes it's 2 days, sometimes it's a week. It could be a year. It could be a year. They'll wait a year to acknowledge something as the truth when they knew it was a lie a year ago. But some people careers, they're doing it. I'm just saying, if we stop doing that, man, a lot of us wouldn't be wasting time. I think our conversations about boxing will actually lead to us being in uniform, to where everyone, and if they looked over here, over there, and over there, and everybody was like, yep, that fight should be next. That's a lot of pressure for that fight. They say pressure bust pipes or create diamonds. That'll be a lot of pressure on people for us not to get it. But as long as you let your favorite fighter have his way out, and you moving a goalpost, or you're tweaking a standard that you don't have for everybody else, just for your favorite fighter, it's not going to produce the fight, man. We're not going to really see, okay, cool, are you going to be able to enact that jab? Is your offensive input going to go down even more, making people question, how are you going to win that fight? Then we can see the sweet science on full display, and we can get verdicts that are rendered inside the ring and not outside the ring in the court of public opinion, gaslit opinion in today's day and era. I want y'all to have a good week, man. I want to say that Abdullah Mason, you know, he did his thing again. And it's kind of odd that they saying it's kind of odd that Top Rank they know how to promote now. They're actually promoting so good and so well now that people are actually starting to hate on Abdullah Mason, saying, "Oh man, come on, man, here we go. I just showed you resume. I just showed you. Look at this." Look, I just showed you, look. Now, he was an Olympian. A certified Olympian. So he got the Olympic pedigree. And he's starting to, you know, he got some names on here. He's creeping up on some names. Yigit. A lot of people want to say Yigit, you know what I'm saying? Yigit 26-2. He fought him last April. After that, he had Jacob Quinn, Denis Baranchak. He lost a UD to Baranchak. That's the guy who got the belt now. David Raouli. But my point was, he was at Olympic, so he got the Olympic pedigree, right? He's 11-0 with 7 knockouts. This guy is 15-0, 13 knockouts. And this is what people are harping on right here. You see this? In 15 fights, he got 42 rounds. 15 fights, he got 42 rounds. So people say, man, all these 8-rounders and you know this and that. So it's rounds now. So they're harping on that. They're harping on that. But Top Rank is actually promoting him so well. Top Rank. I'm talking about Top Rank. I'm not talking about nobody else. I'm talking about Top Rank. The network and the people that he with, they actually promote them so well. People are already starting to hate this man. Now, is it crazy that they don't? Is it just that Top Rank don't know how to promote Is it just that Top Rank don't know how to promote certain fighters? Or is it certain fighters, when they get out there in front of the camera, now he don't even talk trash. He don't even talk spicy. He don't even get where he speak. He's well-mannered. He's well-mannered. Appetite for smoke. I got an appetite for smoke, and you can even tell him, like, you can even see when he trying to do it, but it's just not in his nature to gloat like that. Like, he just like, man, appetite for smoke. Get the t-shirt, you know, and that's the motto. But he's getting the same thing that Big Baby was getting, because they was promoting Big Baby pretty well, and then Big Baby got out there and did that interview, and people saw that, you know, they was like, oh, we question his interest in boxing. That's when people started questioning, especially the Roy Jones interview. But people was trying to say that Top Rank didn't know how to promote, you know, Top Rank they don't know how to promote certain kind of fighters. So I'm not sure how. I mean, maybe Jared had the hope of the next American heavyweight. Maybe that was the luster that was behind him, that everybody had them thinking that Jared was going to be the next one. But this young fella right here, it seems like they're doing a pretty good job of promoting him, because you actually have people, when Top Rank did their video, I looked at some of the comments under that video, people like, oh, come on, man. I'm like, they're just showing the highlights of Abdullah Mason. They're just showing, they did a video highlighting the young man, and the highlights of all of his fights, in the build up to promote him, and all of the comments, oh man, we're not gonna sit up here and act like he's the second coming of Jehovah. I'm like, but Top Rank don't know how to promote. Eureka. I smell you know, I mean, these are fruits and veggies. I know these things don't get people jumping for joy, but you know, my goal is to make you think. My goal is to get you to, like I always say, juice your noodle and think before you come to a conclusion. I put that link out there. I thought somebody might have had something on their mind, or something that, you know, don't say I don't make myself available, because I sure do. I just like I like pointing out certain things, man. I'm like, man, boxing is good. It's just that it's crazy how you can have access to people and you can have conversations with people, but how people take and use that and what they deduct from it and the kind of content that they make with it, it just don't make sense to me, man. Boxing is in a good place, but if we used our resources better, like opportunity that we have with these guys, man, we could control like the landscape. We could control how these boxers get talked about. We can kind of like, we could regulate it. But we got a lust for low level energy. Or if you like some of these fighters fighting people that's coming off of losses and stoppage losses and stuff like that, then the low hanging fruit, you know, soft touch. You know, I heard a lot of those conversations this week. They were saying Devin need to come back, have a soft touch. You know, yeah, we need to get him a soft touch. It's like, man, but you got him on your pound for pound, and he need a soft touch. I don't know if he should be on the pound for pound if you need a soft touch. And the funniest thing, and salute Road Rage, Abdullah is definitely nice. Can't wait to see how he develops. Yeah, he got some developing to do. He got to go against somebody that can take a licking, and somebody that's gonna put pressure on him, and somebody that got some lateral movement. You know, maybe have, you know, it's gonna be hard to find somebody with some longer arms than him, but yeah, they talking about you know, stepping him up. I think they said a Pedraza, and then Tim Bradley was like, I don't want to see that. You know, I don't want to see that. I don't know. Was that Tessitore? No, Tim. Tim was like, I don't want to see that. I think he's ready right now. I think Tim was actually calling for Abdullah and Keyshawn. And people say, oh my gosh, Abdullah not ready. You know, I know they have a plan. And before they'll come out and say, they'll rather have you walking around with the illusion that fight can happen tomorrow, when it's already a plan, and that fight ain't gonna happen tomorrow. It's just like the whole Abdullah fighting Tio. That's like Tio fighting Keyshawn. That's not gonna happen tomorrow. They'll have you running around thinking it could, But it's not gonna happen tomorrow. Be wondering if T.O. is gonna fight Brian Norman Jr. And you're starting to hear a lot of people say, "Oh no, he don't need to do that." I'm like, look, it's either stay at 40 and clean the plate at 40. Don't just base it on some lineal stuff. Clean the plate at 40. You got Ryu, you got Puello, and Paro. That's names right there. You got Australia, you got the Dominican, you got who you got? Ryu and Mexican. Mexico versus Honduran. Mexican Honduran. However, like, you could clean your plate at 40. You can go up to 47 and get it on with Norman, Stanionis, Barrios, Boots. And for the Boots only fan, it should not be outrageous for T.O. to want to fight Boots if you really want to fight him. Set it up. I think it'll be, the dynamics, like, they're going to say something out of line. T.O., he had a point in time where they say a lot of things out their mouths at this point in time. It'll be a good name on the old resume. If you want to, I think if you would really want to show Bud, hey, man, I'll handle this. It's just like Canelo, like, hey, man, hey. Canelo should say, hey, Boots, man, handle Bud. Or Bud, man, handle Boots. And then, because they could do that. If you're going to big boy somebody in that way. But it's a dog eat dog, and it is a chain. It's a chain. Because Keyshawn, at 35, looking for T.O. T.O. saying, oh, no, you ain't did nothing. And he looking for Boots. Boots and them saying, man, come on, man. T.O., he's too small. He's this and this and that. I'm like, okay, cool, but ooh. It's kind of hard to defend, man. But then saying, all right, give me Bud. And Bud saying, man, you don't have nothing to offer. I want Canelo. And Canelo saying, I don't want to fight you. If you point out these facts in a linear pattern, in succession, people will use one of them 9 tactics and try to gaslight you off of the big picture. Whereas, if you're not pro any of those fights in that line right there in any kind of way, then you're not about big fights. You're not. I'm not gonna, I went well over. I went a whole hour over, even though I knew this was probably gonna be a long one because I didn't know how it was gonna take me and who I wanted to talk about. But I talked about Shakur. I talked about Boots, went over some history and some of the things and like how we're looking at these topics. And I didn't even get on the big one really about Shakur and Tank, even though that should be the fight. And we got to kind of use the same standard because I'm still hearing a whole lot of Shakur only fans say that it's somehow Tank and them fault because they didn't receive an offer. I'm like, all right, well, I don't know, man. Whether we get it or not, I'm not sure, man. Things happen, man, because we in an era now where somebody lose their O, depending on their popularity and whether or not they got a fan base or a loud voice or, enough politics behind them, man, you might not see the fight. I just think that we should put them all on the same scale. We should all use some of the same standards. It shouldn't be a different standard. Like, if you don't expect this guy to get the knockout, don't make it to where this guy losing unless he get the knockout, because that's not right. And the expectations are different. Even coming off a loss, if you don't think it's acceptable for this guy to fight another guy coming off a loss, or for this guy to pull this guy up, even though this guy might have been the guy he's pulling up is the Hall of Fame. Like, we just got to keep the same standards. Otherwise, boxing ain't gonna change. I feel the same way, Road Rage. I think T.O. will get hurt at 147. He's not knocking people out at 140. I said the same thing. I said your power didn't translate from 135, and your dimensions truly say that you on the shorter end of the 140. But as a man, pretty much, like, he might grow. I ain't gonna say grow, but he might. I don't think he is. I don't know if he's gonna get taller, but he might fill out just a little bit more. But I think he gotta stay at 40 and clear it out, man. But they're gonna say legacy, man. I think what he's doing is the same thing that Bud and them doing, man. And I'm telling you, you're gonna start seeing a pattern of the lower guys doing what the guys above them are doing. We saw this with Canelo. We seeing it with Bud. Bud can just stand behind the fact that I want Canelo or nothing. Boots really can't do that because nobody really want to fight the dude. Nobody really want to fight him. They gotta try to do this. They gotta try to get this man. That's why this crazy urge for him to go to 154. They gotta do this. This is what the agenda there. No, he need to stay. He need to stay there and clean out D Block. Once he do that, you undisputed. You got your garnishment. So after that, it should be big fight after big fight or in between here somehow. Because once you start getting busy, you go in there and you go in there and you straight blast Barrios. You go in there and you put Brian Norman to sleep. You go in there and you knock Stanionis out. Like, you're gonna blow up. Especially if you're doing it in your backyard. Now, if one of them, you go in there and you miss a step. Like Ike said, you miss a step today, you're going to be frying fish tomorrow. You go in there, you miss a step against Brian Norman. Brian Norman going to become a star. Mix it up at 47, clean out 47, and then go up. But T.O. is a name at 47, and you can't, hey, I'm not protecting nobody, man. Because I was saying the same thing about, think about it. Keyshawn at 35 calling out T.O. He at 35 calling out T.O. who's at 40. And I had to check myself when I said, man, Key, why you doing that? And then I said, hold on, let me mind my business. Let me mind my business. Go ahead, Key. Go ahead, man. Chase that smoke. Who am I? I can't get in the way of that fight. If you want to jump, if you want to move up and go see T.O., go do it. So who am I to tell T.O. not to move up and go see Boots? Not go see Brian Norman? I mean, if he believe in his power, if he want the big name fights and this, you know, whatever it is, he's going to have to, because you always see when he don't do well in the fight, or if he suffers some great adversity, he's going to break down. He's not mentally stable enough. But if that's what he want to do, who am I to hold it back? I can't hold it back. I got to encourage it. Facts, Roll Ray. I'm glad. But yeah. Who am I? That's where I'm at now. But it's different. It's different standards now. It's like different. Like, so me, what I'm saying is, Boots, if you want to get ahead of the curve and you really want to make a big splash, since obviously it's not enough, it's not a bag big enough to get Bud to fight Boots. Obviously. The best thing to do would either be to clean out D Block or fight Jermell at 54. Fight Jermell. That'll be a real passion of the torch. Say what you want, man. He went up. Jermell tried to be great and jumped up to 68. He didn't look like himself. He that wasn't. I don't know. Canelo just made it look bad. You know what I'm saying? He made it look bad. At 154 pounds, Jermell Charlo still has equity in that division. He cleared it out. So my whole thing is don't go to 54 unless you're gonna fight somebody like Jermell, because you need that. You need that. Or since Jermell welcomed Lubin, who was the guy coming in at 22, and Lubin had to rebuild and reconstruct and work his way all the way back up to the top just to be a tough out right now, move up and fight Lubin. Let Lubin be the guy with the opportunity to show to show the younger guy, the ropes if he's gonna do that. That's the only moves like that is the only thing that's gonna really get it done. But I think that this should be in order. I think Boots should stay at 47. He should clear out 47. Listen, this is my thoughts. Now I didn't update one of these, but look, I'm gonna show you. That's why it's simple and plain with me. It's hard. People get caught up in the politics. And I also said, look, man, if you can't get Shakur, why not? Why not? Why they can't get it on right now? Why they couldn't get it on right now? Why they couldn't get it on? But this is my thing, and I didn't update this one. But look, we know it's Baranchek. We know it's Baranchek right here in this WBO, right? We know this. And this should say WBO. I just didn't update this. I keep forgetting. This should be WBO and this should be Baranchek. I said, Tank, clear this out. So he shot Loma something, and Loma, I am going to spend time with my family. Shakur, you know, he said, hey, man, hey, he a free agent and this and that, but we here in Cordina and then Zapata. So I said, and I kept the same energy. I said, hey, clear this out, Tank. It's all you at 35. Clear this out, Tank. And that's right now, that's the agenda with me and Tank. See, but I'm one of the ones that keep it consistent, knowing that all of these are, and pointing out all of these guys are the assassins. These are all of the assassins. All of these guys, these are the assassins. Like, look, Tank, this is the top priority with Baranchek. Let's put Baranchek right here with this should say WBO, not WBC, this burgundy one. WBO. Tank, clear this out. But knowing that it's all these assassins up there at 135 right now. All these assassins. Right here, right? And then keep it the same energy. Oh, I guess it didn't let me upload that one. Let me see. I got it up here. Let me see. It kept that day when I was trying to load it, it wouldn't let me do it. But this is what I said, look, at 40, I said, now, Tio, clear out 40. Why are you going around looking for love in all the wrong places? The stage is set. It's there. So at 40, I got it lined up for y'all, man. I tried to eliminate it. Now I got to update this. Remember, I got to update this. My ideal is Tank, clear out 35. Wipe that out and establish that. If you can't get Shakur right now, since that's the Cold War, why not get that? If that can't happen, since that actually supersedes, everything. Tio, clear this out. Paro is a name. He dethroned Subriel Matias. Pueblo, he's a name. Devin Haney ain't trying to come back and fight him. He beat Gary Antoine Russell, and contrary to popular belief, a lot of people were scared of Gary Antoine Russell. And Ryu dethroned Isaac Pitbull Cruz. Why not clear out 40? So that's 30, that's 40, and then I said Boots, clear out D Block 47. If these things happen and we were lock and step and them going across the board, then on their way, it could be a big fight in between this step and okay, cool, or this guy to eliminate this eliminator onto that guy, or let this guy get his big fight in the interim. And if we were all like that in all of the divisions, if we were pushing for the same things, but we really don't want it. We really don't want it. Like, we don't want to see these. Why we don't want to see these? Oh man, who are these names? These are the champions. These are the champions. These are the champions. This is what we want to see. Everybody's saying, oh, this ain't the glamour division, but these are the champions. Why we don't want to see it? So on their way to doing it, you get your big fight, your money bag in between, you face your, you defend your belt, you take care of your mandatory, and then it's on to the next for unification. So it should be big fight, okay, stay busy or key name, and then unification. And it's just, if it's the same for everybody, we would get what we want in succession. My expectations are not unrealistic. So Tio, get busy down here. Let whoever's gonna be undisputed down here be that. Boots, clear out 47 so they can stop using that who has he fought and what have you done and that accolade excuse. Oh, you ain't got no accolades. Accolades. I'm like, dang, how much you getting paid, homie? Tank, he offered the loan money. We wanted Shakur, you know what I'm saying? We that's what we wanted, but it don't look like it. It looked like some Cordina stuff. So we already knew it was the Cold War. Well, it's funny how when they both needed something, but listen, one of them, this how long that's not how long I've been on it, but you can see the date right here. This guy got a WBC at 35. This guy is the champion in resets for the WBC at 35. Nobody ever talks about that. It'll be a cardinal sin to ask for that fight right now. But I'll be tripping. But I'll be saying that, man, they are on the take leftover plan. That's why he's wanting to get Isaac Pitbull Cruz. That's why he wanted Ryan. That's why it's because, you keep chasing that or whatever, but we don't ask for it. We don't ask for the fights that we really should be getting. These guys right here are kind of like left in the wind right now. Kenny Sims Jr., Sandro Martin, and Richardson Hitchens. Those are the guys ranking wise and all that, and I think Gary Antoine, I think he might be getting back in there with Puello at 140. But we don't be pushing. We just want to get in and have a sausage party for our favorite fighters, devoid of the rankings, devoid of whether they coming off a loss, if this don't sound right, if that sound right. It don't make sense because we use different standards. But if we did it all the same, so we all had the same energy to where it was up to let's just say if it was up to these guys at 35 to figure it out and come out with, undisputed at this time, in this era, at this moment right now, if that was the energy, right, we'll all be on the same sheet of music, right? And if it was the energy was for all of these guys to figure it out and reign supreme and figure out who's going to do what at this level and who's going to be undisputed at this level, that would be figured out. And then you know what that would open up? That would open up to where whoever came out supreme right here will be fighting whoever came out supreme right here. The storyline, the lineage, the data, the big fights after big fights, the law of attrition, who really wanted it, who got comfortable, all of that will come to fruition, but it'll be already made with what we should be getting next. And if those guys figured out who ruled and reigned and who was supreme, once these guys figured out who ruled and reigned and was supreme, we can get whoever ruled and reigned and was supreme there fighting whoever ruled and reigned and was supreme there. 2 champions already got dethroned. You know how many champions got dethroned out of this 40? That's why I call 40 the road. Where any given Sunday, it can go down. It can go down. So let's ignore this push for Boots to go to 54. Let's have him focus on D Block. Let's have Tio focus on 40. But if Tio happens to get, so if the guy on the far left here happen to get the guy on the far left here, we gotta fight. That's more logical. That make more sense. But we don't all push for the same things, and we don't hold our bosses to the same standard. Because at a point in time, this was the calibration. That was the calibration. Back when somebody found out this was chess, not checkers. I painted a picture to support something the other day about the in-house, and we got to evaluate when these guys signed over there, what actually happened and how we perceived them in their careers when they all went over there and signed with Eddie. You can't even talk about that realistically. Them brothers got paid and are continuing to getting paid, but the narrative around how their careers are going, depending on who you're talking to, will get very political. Where it's a way to do it. It's a way to justify by data, by facts, by history, trajectory. Put out a post on who they think is ready for what and who, you know what I'm saying? Consider everything. T.O. versus Tank would be super interesting. I definitely would watch. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was ideal. I don't see why. And hey, T.O. done said some things to where, T.O. said some things to where I'm like, man, Tank, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really wish you would. You know what I'm saying? Like I really wish he would get one of them contracty tracks. You know what I'm saying? If Shakur, if he want to take it, if we know behind the scenes that it ain't gonna be Shakur and the powers that be know that that's not happening next, then you know what I'm saying. As a fan, what can we ask for? As a fan, what could we ask for? What do we have the right to ask for? And I said, why not? Why not right now? Why not? We know what it should be. But if we let it get too cold, if we keep marinating, it's a cold war, but if we let it get too cold, man, I don't know. I'm guessing they hoping somebody build up something or do whatever. As a fan, I would like to see the fight. I understand the business side of everything. I just don't understand how certain moves can be made and certain boxers can take the blame. And nobody really, at deep down, they don't keep the same energy. But anyways, man, I didn't have much for y'all, man. I know I went over my time that I normally do, man, but this is I think this is needed, and I hope this helps in the conversations, man. Everybody not crazy, everybody not out to get nobody. This is a sport that we all love. We love to talk about. It keeps us. I know me. It keeps me occupied, keeps me out of trouble, and it's entertainment, and it's good. Like you talking about, this is the gladiator sport, man. If we let this thing keep getting the way it's going, man, it's gonna be fake, man. It's gonna be fake. So that's all I really had right now, man. And I hope I gave you something to think about, something to digest, some a different perspective on how to look at everything and how we're having these same conversations. I get tired of just seeing and hearing people just regurgitate the same thing over and over and over again, man. I try to do that body work. I come with stats, facts, statistics. I don't abandon all logic and reasoning. I still bring real life into the boxing talk, man. But these are some things that we can consider, man, so we can actually start seeing what's inside the ring and letting that be the judge, man. And even being honest about what we see. Why? Because the numbers ain't gonna lie, man. And as long as those fights are being recorded, we're in a social media digital era where you can't deny it. So in real time, people saying, oh man, like how they doing with Quran. It's crazy how now all the people are actually coming out and being honest about the fight, about Quran now. So you're going to hear the Boots detractors come out and they're going to big up and they're going to make it seem like Quran was in there beating shit down Boots' leg. That's how they're going to make it seem, right? When that's not really the case. It's just that it was not as easy as everybody said that Boots really did that, man. Karan really didn't run as much as everybody made it seem. People are just now starting to come on and tell the truth about that. So it might be a good matchup. You know, I'm not knocking it, but if we're going to keep it a buck and we're going to keep it honest and we're going to stay focused and real, a lot of the hate that Boots is getting is just because Bud fans, you know, they got the power right now. And we got to be able to separate the two. You should be able to judge these guys almost in a vacuum. But we don't do that. Just some food for thought, man. Just, you know, let me know. If you catch this on the playback, hit my comment section, man. Feel free to, you know, that wasn't it. That was it. I'm not always right in them, but hey, they got a lot of nutritional value in it. Why? Because I stick to the facts. You know, I have my opinion and my thoughts and my predictions and stuff like that, and I'm wrong about it. But the nuts and bolts of it all, the stuff I be on, it's not about emotions. It's about logic. It might not line up to the business of boxing, but I've understood that. And so now I kind of can read between the lines. Like right now, how quiet it got and how we ain't hearing anything, like how that Loma situation got doused out real quick, and then how we ain't hear nothing about Shakur. Like it felt real odd to me. It felt real odd to me. So I'm like, man, is this the business of boxing? Like doing, you know, what the business of boxing do? But you'll have people that come out and say, oh man, you already heard Coach Calvin, he said we can't do what we do. That's all they want to say. It's like, man, you missed the point, man. What he meant was it can't put on an exciting fight if somebody don't want to come to fight, man. And they like, well, at this point in time, if you not necessarily like your style, but if you come in with the mindset that you're not really trying to like perform for the fans, like you really not trying to go out there like a gladiator. Well, however your tactics are, if you don't have the energy to do that, that's not what we do. We go out to perform. Put on a big show. Everybody misconstrued that. And it's more convenient to say, I'm finding out now that it's more convenient to say that somebody is ducking than actually consider the reality of what's going to happen when your fighter goes up against somebody and you don't expect them to win. I've experienced that. You know, a lot of fans haven't. You know, a lot of fans haven't. Like when that Spence stuff happened, that would be the epitome of it. When that happened, I went through it. Well, I took it like a champ because I kept it a buck straight across the line the whole time. So, and I continue to do it. But a lot of people, man, they fighters get knocked on their ass bag. And they start looking sad, Jack. Anyway, y'all, thanks for choosing Bodywork Boxing. But we don't take things for face value. We do that body work.
He didn't want to box. He wanted to actually prove that he could punch with you. He was like, what the fuck is this nigga, right? Oh, okay, you want to go to sleep. You tired.
Welcome to Bodywork.